suppress it, and then of course, where does it go? It goes into our heart and soul, and then we manifest it. I'll give you an example from me. Shortly after starting shadow work, I realized that I was silently manifesting scarcity into my life. And it's not like I wasn't saying, I want abundance, I love abundance. It was because I, as a person, my self-worth comes from being able to achieve things. And so I was attracting scarcity so I could hustle, I could overcome it, and I could have that sense of achievement. So
incredible.
That's just one example of what that work has uncovered for me, and it's been so transformational.
A very similar but slightly different experience of almost the same outcome for me, not with shadow work, but with my psychologist. In one of my sessions with him, about a year into working with him, and subsequently stayed working with him for 5 years, he said to me, have you ever considered that you're addicted to anxiety? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, physiologically, do you know what your body does when you're anxious? I was like, no, of course not. Do I look like a guy who thinks about that? So he says, well, when you get anxious, your body floods with adrenaline, your endorphins pump, you focus, and then you overcome the problem. And he said, what happens with you is you are so addicted to the feeling of overcoming it that when there is nothing to be anxious about, you invent things to be anxious about. You create drama in your brain. You force the world to be more difficult than it has to be so that you can operate at this elevated level of anxiety. And that what you said resonates with me because I do similar things. I'm at my best when I'm struggling. And that's something I've had to overcome because I want to focus on my strengths and make them better, not harp on my weaknesses and make those better. So that resonates with me, really insightful.
But now I feel like I'm in a psychology session because that's exactly what I do as well.
No.
So.
When he said it to me, I was floored. It took me months to process it and go, okay, but what do I do with that information? And it was months of work going, okay, but hold on, is this actually a problem or are you making this a problem? And a lot of Stoic readings have helped me to, specifically with the dichotomy of control. You can choose to focus your energy on something you can control or something you can't control. And my anxiety usually comes from something I can't control that I over embellish in my brain. So I'm trying to allocate my attention to things I can control and then go, okay, well, COVID isn't my doing. I can't fix that. Everybody in the world is doing that. What can I do? What is my control? And that helps me with the anxiety.
Oh, interesting. I have a similar addiction that my life coach uncovered, and that is to newness. I'm a phenomenal starter. I hate doing things for a second time. Like, I physically repel it. I recently ran a program of mine for the second time, and it's a good program, but I did it live again. And like, instead of being energized, and unfortunately probably didn't show up as well for my members, I was just like, but I've done this. Like, I've already gotten through this and moved on